Hello, this tutorial from the staff of the Utah State Board of Education will walk through how the basic school program is reconciled each year. Beginning each April, the staff to the State Board of Education reconciles the local tax collections from each school district in our state to determine the amount of local collections generated from the basic levy or the minimum basic tax rate. These revenues contribute to the cost of the minimum school program, basic school program. You might be wondering what makes up the basic school program. So as I bring in the sheet that is put together by the legislature each year, we can see that the regular basic school program and the restricted basic school program, all of these programs 1 through 6 here and 1 through 9 here, which are commonly called the programs above the line, make up the basic school program. We've got kindergarten, grades 1 through 12. Foreign exchange students funding is excluded by statute. We have necessarily existent small schools included, professional staff, administrative costs. Of the restricted programs, there's 7 special ed programs. There's the add-on, self-contained, preschool, extended year program, impact aid, intensive services, extended year for special educators. We also have the career and technical education add-on and class size reduction. All of these programs make up the cost of the basic school program, which you can see for fiscal year 18, it was 860,472 total WPUs at a cost that was estimated at $2,857,024,700. Since final tax collections are not received by the state until April each year, the USBE estimates through participation on the Common Data Committee, which is made up of members from the Governor's Office, the Legislative Fiscal Analyst's Office, the State Tax Commission, and the Utah State Board of Education, to come up and set a revenue target that should be generated from the minimum basic tax rate for the state. As you can see, as published by the legislature, the minimum basic tax rate includes the basic levy and the basic levy increment rate, which was Senate Bill 97 from the 15 session. These two amounts together set the revenue target for the state. The revenue target for fiscal year 18 for the minimum basic tax rate is $399,041,300. In March, the staff to the USBE submits this spreadsheet to each county treasurer. The county treasurer then fills out for each school district in their county, for each payment given to each school district, how much was made up of current taxes, fee in lieu, redemptions, any miscellaneous taxes or fees submitted to the school district, and any refunds the school district paid back to the county treasurer to arrive at a total collections per payment given to each school district. The payments throughout the period of April 1st, 2017 through March 31st, 2018 for fiscal year 2018 come up to arrive at a total collections or total amount of property tax revenues generated and received by the school district. This information is verified by USBE in April when they are received by each county treasurer to ensure that no other prior payments from fiscal year 17 were also included in fiscal year 18 and that the date of collection seem reasonable. This information is then provided to each business administrator at each school district. The BAs review and reconcile the information from their county treasurer. If the total collections are accurate, the BA sends confirmation back to the USBE. If the information is inaccurate, the USBE works with the school district and their county treasurer to reconcile the information so all stakeholders agree it is accurate. The total collections are not utilized to reconcile the basic school program until the USBE has confirmation that the collections are accurate for each school district. This process usually takes until the first few weeks in May. Once the tax collections are confirmed, the following reconciliation process occurs to determine if the minimum basic tax rate generated more or less revenue than the Common Data Committee estimated. Let's review that final basic reconciliation spreadsheet. This is the final basic reconciliation spreadsheet. As you can see, this lists every district in our state. The first column is the total reviewed and confirmed tax collections from each school district. The second column is the set minimum basic tax rate for each fiscal year. For fiscal year 2018, the minimum basic tax rate is 0.001568. The third column is the total tax rate levied for each school district. This total rate is made up of various tax rates for multiple levies, such as the minimum basic tax rate, the board local levy, the voted local levy, the capital local levy, or the debt service levy. All of these rates are combined to give a total tax rate for each school district. Not each school district levies all of the above listed rates. The charter school levy is not included, and the charter school levy is a levy that each school district is required to levy if they have district of residence students attending a charter school. This is excluded as the school district does not receive this revenue. This change was implemented beginning with fiscal year 18. The revenue from the charter school levy is collected at the county treasurer level and directly submitted to the state treasurer. The USBE then transfers these funds back into the education fund to be allocated and distributed to charter schools. The fourth column is the calculated percentage of the minimum basic tax rate to the total tax rate each school district levied for fiscal year 18. As you can see, the minimum basic tax rate, it makes up 16 to 40% of the total tax rate levied for each school district. And you can see that as we scroll down the list, the percentage varies by each school district. You can see that the maximum is Park City School District because of their high tax collections and assessed valuations. Scroll back up to the top. The fifth column is the calculated minimum basic tax rate yield. This rate is calculated by taking the minimum basic tax rate percentage from column 4 and multiplying it by the total taxes collected, or the total collections in column 1. This is the amount of revenue generated from each school district levying the minimum basic tax rate. You can see, like for Alpine, they're collecting, or the basic rate is generating a little over almost $40 million, and it varies again by each school district and their assessed valuations. The sixth column, as we scroll the sheet over, the sixth column is the cost of the basic school program for each school district. The cost is calculated by utilizing each specific program's formula based on ADM and or the October 1st headcount to generate a number of WPUs. The total number of WPUs is multiplied by the WPU value to arrive at the cost of the basic school program. The WPU value for fiscal year 18 is $3,311. Of this total cost in column 6, the minimum basic tax rate yield in column 5 is the amount of local property tax dollars that each school district contributed towards the cost of the basic school program. Each school district is required to contribute in order to qualify for the receipt of state income tax dollars, which contribute towards the cost of the basic school program. The seventh column is the calculated recapture amount. If a school district's minimum basic tax rate yield, which is column 5, exceeds the calculated cost of the basic school program, column 6, statute states that the state does not contribute any state income tax dollars towards the cost of the basic school program. Statute states that this excess of funds shall be paid to the Uniform School Fund by the close of the fiscal year. These funds can be utilized by the legislature next year to contribute towards the cost of the minimum school program. And as we scroll down through this sheet, you can see that we only have one school district. Let me just scroll to the bottom of here. one school district that qualifies for recapture, and this has happened almost every year since 2015. You can see that the basic yield for Park City yielded a little over $23 million, but the cost of the basic school program for their number of WPUs was only almost $20 million. So the difference between these two numbers is their calculated recapture amount. This almost $4 million is what Park City will transfer into the Uniform School Fund by year end. This spreadsheet is also sent to each school district to review one last time before budgets are adjusted for the basic school program and the voted and board local levy programs, and this occurs for the May allotment memo each year. As we scroll down to the bottom of this sheet, you can see here that the revenue target for fiscal year 18 for the minimum basic tax rate was the $399,041,300, which we mentioned earlier. The minimum basic tax rate actually generated $408,243,307, which means that the minimum school program has a surplus of $9,202,000 and almost $8. This is state funds not required to fund the basic school program, as property taxes generated more funding than estimated. Also, the estimated cost of the basic school program this is all LEAs, so this is all school districts and charter schools, was $2,857,024,700, which was mentioned earlier. The actual cost, when we ran through all the formulas, WPUs and head counts, was $2,848,203,550, almost $2. This means that the minimum school program has a surplus of funds in the amount of $8,821,148. The total surplus for fiscal year 18 is $18,023,156. This is due to property taxes generating more revenues than estimated and the over projections of students for fiscal year 18. This is good news, as the legislature swept $12.5 million from balances in the minimum school program during the 2018 session and appropriated from possible balances in the minimum school program another $5 million for the planning and upgrading of the board's information technology systems, and $1.7 million from minimum school balances for the board to acquire analytical software that monitors students' use and performance associated with the early intervention interactive reading software program. So the board does have those balances in the minimum school program in order to facilitate those appropriations. This concludes the reconciliation of the basic school program. I hope you found it useful. Thank you.